A lot of people moved to Venice, Florida in 2023, and in this video we'll tell you why we think in 2024 there will be a lot more moving to the area.
The first is location.
So Venice is a small, quiet town, but location-wise, 1 hour from Tampa, about an hour from Fort Myers. Sarasota is only 30 to 45 minutes depending on traffic. And Orlando, it's only about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, depending on what end of town you're in.
Yeah, I think it's great to have that location, but still have one of the other benefits, well, all these other benefits that we're gonna, I guess, talk about that are the reasons that people move to the area. But yeah, I think being in that location to get access to those other things, but still have Venice be what it is, that's what's really enticing, I think.
So if you're a young family moving to the area or a retiree, having access to all those different locations, it's great, especially if you have small children, because being 2 hours, 2.5 hours away from Orlando, you could just make a day trip and come back. I mean, I wouldn't advise on that, but it is still pretty doable.
Yeah, and you know, the other cities as well, they have their own little things for, you know, families and retirees alike. And it just gives you a really good variety between the different beaches in the areas, the different, obviously, entertainment. When you talk about Busch Gardens, SeaWorld, you know, Disney, of course, Universal Studios, and all the other stuff that comes with some of those more big cities, and having access to all that, I think, is amazing for anyone, really.
Speaking of beaches, that's reason number 2 why people are moving down to the area. You have access to many different beaches. We have the main Venice beach here in town. We have Casperson Beach, which is great for shark teeth hunting. We also have Brohar Beach, the dog beach, which a lot of dogs like, our dog included, and you can have your dogs off the leash, and many other different beaches in the area.
Yeah, I think another notable one would be just kind of almost attached to that would be like the Sharky's Beach area. Yes. With the fishing pier and the, you know, Sharky's Tiki Hut and all the fun stuff that you can do there, as far as, you know, getting a bite to eat, tropical drinks, just hang out for the day. And then also, when you put into context, again, being near those other cities, you have other beach options at your disposal too. When you talk about Sarasota, Clearwater, I love Clearwater. That's my favorite beach, I think, in Florida. Definitely in the top 2 or 3.
St. Pete Beach is nice also. If you want something a little more quiet, then Minnesota Key Beach is a great one.
And all the Inglewood beaches for that matter. Yes. And Inglewood Beach itself is really great because you have, you know, dining options right across the street. Put all those together and all those options, I think it's really, really cool to have access to just a very different way of doing beaches. You quickly realize, being in this area, that not all beaches are the same. You know, I think if you're maybe not from Florida, you might think, oh, a beach is a beach. But there's different sand, activities, the vibe of the city, and how close there are things to do by the beach. I think all that is a factor. And
did we mention Siesta Key Beach?
I think I kind of skimmed over it, but because I know it's your favorite, so I always like to point out, like, Clearwater's awesome.
Clearwater is pretty close up there for me too, but I think Siesta Key Beach is my favorite.
Yeah, world famous.
Yes.
The third reason that a lot of people have moved to Venice, Florida, and are continuing to move to the area, is because of all the downtown options. And if you've been to Venice, you might be saying, wait, all the downtown options, what are you talking about? Well, for one, you've got obviously the Venice downtown. That's, you know, quaint, historic, super cool, walkable to the beach. You got Heritage Park, right? But then there's also a new downtown kind of in town. There's probably gonna be argumentative comments on this. It's technically a Northport downtown, which is Welland Park. And that's new and exciting. We've been going there like a lot.
Yes.
A lot.
And the cool thing about Welland Park is that it's, again, very walkable, and they have a huge lake in, well, not the middle of downtown, but you have a huge lake, and then you can take a walk around. There are a couple different trails that you can take and go around the lake. There's also like a little fishing pier with a little lighthouse, which looks kind of cool. And a few restaurants that have opened already, which after Oak and Stone opened, we've noticed that a lot of more people are hanging out in the downtown. And this could be too because we are nearing the snowbird season, so more snowbirds are here. But even, I would say, like end of September, or October, beginning of October, when Oak and Stone opened, like, we noticed how many more people there was in the downtown already.
Yeah, a lot of times we pull up to like the parking lot area or just the downtown street parking, and we'd be like, cars everywhere, like, what's going on? Is there like an event that we don't know about? And I think a lot of it's just been Oak and Stone, really, which that place is awesome.
Another downtown that we have access to here in Venice is the Sarasota, the many Sarasota downtowns.
Yeah, multiple.
But the main Sarasota downtown, which is on Main Street, it's also pretty cool because there is a lot of little shopping stores. There is a lot of different restaurants. Bayfront Marina is just down the road, so you can walk from the downtown to the marina and take a walk around the marina as well. So that's pretty cool in itself.
And it's cool because it's got a little bit more of a big city feel. And We mentioned this in another video, but like it almost feels like there's a whole bunch of downtown like pockets within the main Sarasota downtown that are all kind of combined. So it's cool how like different streets kind of have a little different feel, and it's just a lot to explore. Also, you got the St. Armand Circle downtown, which is really cool, a little more upscale, sort of a similar feel to Venice's downtown, but I'd say a little bit more bougie.
Yeah, and I don't feel like it's as historic as Venice's downtown. It's just more upscale.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool because it's actually a circle. So driving in there, you're gonna take a lot of like roadways that are kind of like curved or circles, and it feels a little more packed, more compact.
Yeah.
But it is a pretty cool area to go grab a bite to eat or do some designer clothing shopping.
Yeah, it's like compact, but very like they packed a lot into this small area. There's like a lot going on in a really small area.
And it's not like tall buildings or anything like that. It's just like a lot of maybe like 2-story buildings across from each other, and 2 lanes of traffic, 4 lanes total of traffic. And then little key beaches pretty close as well.
Yeah, and it's just cool as a whole, I think, because it's pretty much the entire downtown, or most of it, is like this little island. This little island is almost entirely downtown, and that's pretty much it, and a little bit of a beach access there too. So it's just a really unique downtown for that aspect. It's unlike any other one I've seen anywhere, period, in the world.
And there is a little bit of a residential area as well too, off of the downtown streets, which is pretty cool if you live there, you know, to walk down to the downtown or even to the beach. Next one is Siesta Key Village, and we love Siesta Key Village because when you go, it just feels like you're on an island somewhere, which granted it is an island. It feels like you're outside the country even. There is a lot of little shops, more like souvenir shops, restaurants, a lot of different restaurants. There's also like a mini donut place, lots of ice cream shops as well.
Yeah, the whole area has got very, like a tropical tiki hut,
Yes.
you know, a lot of wooden deck, open air type restaurant thing going on. So it definitely fits that, like she said, like a tropical island vibe, almost like you're in a different country or in the Caribbean or something like that.
Yes. And a lot of times they do have live music playing in the different restaurants, as well as all the different festivals too throughout the year.
Next one is just south of Venice, which would be Dearborn Street in Inglewood. Great downtown, a little bit more of an old Florida feel to it. Again, it almost feels like you're on like an island in a different country, different than Siesta Key Village. I don't know how to explain it. A little more rustic, I guess you could say. And yeah, lots of small mom and pop shops. The unique thing, and it's a pro and a con, I guess, to it, is that a lot of the shops have very limited hours as far as how late they're open, or, you know, days of the week and things like that. So they're kind of on island time. You have to get there when they are open, but definitely some unique places there. A couple coffee places that we love there, and
Restaurants too.
super walkable, and great farmers market too. Really, really big farmers market for such a small city. So,
And there's always like events going on too throughout the year. They have the seafood festival, they have Burgers in Paradise, which is new, the art festivals as well.
there was just some like rock festival or something like that going on the other day when we drove past. Classic cars shows going on. I think it's like once a week or once a month. And yeah, so a lot going on there. And the nice thing about the Inglewood downtown, maybe compared to Sarasota, is depending on where you live in Venice, but for the most part, I would say that's going to be closer to Dearborn Street than the Sarasota one. So it's, you know, probably talking a 15-20 minute drive just to get there, and that's not too bad at all.
The next downtown, or 2 downtowns actually, they're south of Sarasota, and they're Lakewood Ranch. The Lakewood Ranch Main Street downtown, which is the older downtown, which is pretty cool. There is a lot of different shopping, like small shops, restaurants, coffee shop, theater, mini golf. There's also a fitness center. And the other one's just down the road. It's called Waterside Place. And this is pretty similar to Welland Park's downtown. It does have a big lake that you can walk around. They have some coffee shops, restaurants.
I think they also have a fitness center. And it's a little different too, because it feels like there's a little less grass. Than like Welland Park. There's a little more like brick and concrete and stuff like that. It's a little more urban feeling, I guess.
Yes, and they do have sand volleyball. There's a playground in there.
There's fitness equipment on a trail that goes around the lake, and a bridge that goes over the lake too, which I think that's kind of fun and unique.
Yes, and they will have a water taxi for the houses that are on the other side of the lake to come down to downtown without having to drive.
Then you've also got not quite a downtown, but somewhat of a downtown feel, I guess you could say, which would be the UTC shopping area and the UTC mall. Some of that is a little more pedestrian friendly, but it's definitely more like strip outlets, but a lot of it's kind of connected with sidewalks and stuff. And yeah, really can't cover everything that there is there because there's just so much, but there's just tons, great restaurants. There's a Trader Joe's in there, one of our favorite places to eat, or at least mine, Fresh Kitchen. And yeah, just so much coffee. I mean, you name it.
Cheesecake Factory is inside the mall as well. So there is shopping, and then there's also a mall within the UTC shopping center, and they have some restaurants inside the mall too. The last downtown, which is technically not a downtown, but we do like to throw it in there just because it does feel a little bit like a downtown. It's the Beach Road in Englewood. So you have the beach, you have a playground, you have a basketball court, and across from the beach there is a lot of different restaurants and bars, which is pretty cool. And sometimes, like especially during the weekend, they'll have live music as well. And waterfront dining at one of the restaurants, Lock and Key, which is one of my favorite restaurants there as well.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best in the area as far as having like the bars and restaurants with sort of that, you feel like you're on the beach, even though it is kind of across the street, but you can kind of feel the breeze and get your bite to eat, and a lot of it have like the outdoor bar seating and stuff. It's just a unique look and a unique feel, and yeah.
And from the Waverly, from the second story, you can actually see the water, so the beach, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great place. Next reason that a lot of people move to Venice and are continuing to move to Venice is because of the culture. It has a very unique culture that stands out from any other place I've ever visited, much less lived.
Yes, the historic Venice downtown, which is beautiful, very historic. It feels like a small town, but at the same time like a small city, which is pretty cool. Most of the buildings there are only 2 to 3 stories high, and the city wants to keep it that way to, you know, continue to have that small town feel. Not only it's the downtown Italian inspired, but I feel like the whole city really is. We have a lot of Italian restaurants, and a lot of people actually like from Italy or Italian Americans that live here in Venice. And lately I've been getting phone calls from people that are like first generation, or they were born in Italy, which is pretty cool. Like born in Italy and now are looking to move to Venice, which I think is kind of cool.
And if you're wondering why they're calling her, it's because she's a real estate agent in the area. You can call, text, or email our team 941-221-1897 anytime if you are looking to move to the area.
Another reason is we're only 30 to 40 minutes away from Sarasota, which Sarasota is known as the cultural coast, and that's due to all the different art galleries in Sarasota, the Ringling Museum, which is there. They also have the opera there near the downtown area.
They have the Van Wezel Performing Arts Center, and then also the downtown as a whole, just sprinkled throughout it. There's a lot of, you know, unique murals and like architectural touches with, you know, there's actually a Sarasota style building that's like an architectural type of design. And then on top of that, some like almost like sculpture type things that they have throughout the downtown, and unique pieces like that really add to the vibe and the feel of the area. Also, definitely a big part of the culture and is just the way people are here, as far as the friendliness. Again, that small town feel kind of helps that, but almost everyone is from somewhere else. Yes. Like, it's very rare to meet someone that's born and raised in Venice. You know, I'm a basketball skills trainer in the area, and some of the kids I'll work with maybe were born and raised in the area, but even then, most of the kids were not born and raised here. So you get this unique combination of people from all over the United States, even other countries, Canada, and sometimes, you know, France and other places, Italy, Italia. And yeah, so having all those people here, and they're attracted to it because of the vibe that it has. It keeps bringing more people that want to like live that way too, so the culture kind of stays that way. Really friendly people, super walkable city overall compared to a lot of other Florida cities. And yeah, just definitely a lot of people that are in a great mood and are talkative and want to have small talk.
Yeah, and it's easy to start a conversation when you already have one thing in common, which is moving to Florida, moving to Venice. Because when you're born and raised somewhere, you almost look at it with a different lens. It's like, well, my family's here, my friends of my, like, have been my friends of for my whole life are here. So you don't really have the need to talk to maybe the neighbors or other people.
Yeah, you don't talk about people like, like how great it is. And how great is it to be in this city that we were all born in? Yes. It's not a talking point.
A thing, but when you're in a different city like Venice, and all these people are from different parts of the country or even the world, that's the first thing you have in common. So, oh, where are you from? And then the conversation starts going there. So it's easier to make friends here. And
another thing that kind of goes with that culture is just it's a clean city. Part of that, I think, is just because of, you know, the local government taking care of the city. And like if you go to the downtown and see how well manicured all the plants are and all that kind of stuff and how clean the sidewalks and streets are, a lot of that is, you know, because of the city itself. But it's also a byproduct of the culture as far as the people that are here. A lot of families, a lot of retirees, a lot of people that really care about the city and like that the city's beautiful and want to keep it that way.
The next reason is pretty similar, but there are a few things to talk about, is the friendly atmosphere here in Venice. Again, people are very friendly. It's easy to start a conversation with people, even like just walking around downtown or starting a conversation with your neighbors. And everyone always seems to be in a good mood, and I think that has a lot to do with, you know, people being retired too. They are just enjoying life by the sea.
Yeah, I think you got people here that are retired, just moved here or moved here recently, or are here visiting on vacation and checking out the area. And all those kinds of people are generally going to be pretty excited to be here, pretty good mood. And it definitely rubs off on yourself day to day and makes you want to be in a good mood too. And you just keep adding to the positivity. The next reason a lot of people are continuing to move to Venice is because of the quiet lifestyle. So we kind of talked earlier about, you know, how you're close to all these things to do, but what makes it unique is you're really centrally located to all those things while still having that quiet lifestyle.
Yeah, so living in a town that's quiet, you have this sense of community, you feel safe because of that, but at the same time, if you want something else to do, you know that the small town it's not offering, you're only 30 minutes away from the closest bigger city, which would be Sarasota, and there is a ton to do in Sarasota.
A lot of this quiet small town feel does tie into some of the things we talked about earlier, having a lot of retirees, a lot of families, a lot of people that aren't from the area that are friendly.
Another reason that ties in with this quiet lifestyle here in Venice is it gives people different options. So if you want to be more in like a city, like you would live closer to the island or on Venice Island. If you want to be a little more rural, maybe have a little more space between houses, then South Venice would be the way to go, or even Venice Gardens. Not that you are rural, like country living, but you do have a little more space between the houses than you would in Venice Island.
Yeah, it's almost like a rural suburban mix, yes. I think would be a good way of putting it.
Along with this quiet lifestyle too, it is pretty balanced because again, location wise, you're close to different bigger cities, a lot more to do. So if you want something to do in one of those cities, you just drive, you know, for the day, come back, and then you're back in your small, safe town.
And I think it's also worth noting there is still a lot to do right in Venice too. You know, the downtown kind of brings that small town feel together with activities and action, I guess you could say, because it feels semi-urban in the downtown in Venice, but then they also have like a lot of community things going on, like the farmers market. You know, you've got all kinds of events all throughout the winter months, especially, you know, festivals, arts and crafts fairs. I mean, all kinds of stuff, trick-or-treating in the downtown. The Venice Christmas parade is legendary, and the jetty for the boat parade, for the Christmas boat parade. So there's just so many little community things that are going on too that gives you a little bit of something different to do in areas that you've been to a bunch of times, gives it a different context, a different energy, and brings a lot of the city together, which is really cool and I think helps with that small town feel.
Yes, and also if you're part of a homeowners association community, a planned community, those communities a lot of times will have different events during the year as well. Like I know sometimes they'll let food trucks come in and they'll park within the community so that people in the community only have access to those food trucks, or they'll have like little festivals within their communities. So they try to, you know, keep that sense of community within those planned communities as well to make you maybe socialize a little bit and get to know your neighbors.
Another reason a lot of people are moving to the areas, well, we've been saying a lot of families are moving to the areas, and that's because of the schools. Great schools in the area.
Yes, Sarasota County is rated the #2 school system in the state. And within that too, we have different kinds of schools. We have Montessori schools, we have the charter schools. Venice Welland Park just opened a new charter school. Venice High is highly rated.
And we actually know people that have moved to the Venice area specifically for that reason, just because of the schools and the different types of options and how highly rated they are. Another reason a lot of people have moved to Venice in the last year or two and are continuing to move to the area is because of all the different ways to live and all the different, you know, parts of Venice that give a little bit of a different lifestyle depending on what you're looking for. And it's kind of got something for everyone.
Yes, so if you want to be more in the city, the island would be a great option for you. We have townhomes there, we have condos, apartments, single family homes. You are going to pay more. The island's a little more expensive because you are closer to the water. There's also mobile homes on the island, and those are for 55 and older, which means that at least one of the owners has to be 55 years or older.
And let's say maybe you're pro or against HOAs. Everyone's kind of different on this. Some people really want the HOA because it makes the community look a certain way. and they want the amenities maybe that come with it, or just making sure the houses look a certain way and the yards and things like that. And some people don't. They don't want anyone telling them what to do. They don't want to pay the HOA fees or whatever the other reasons may be. Well, we've got options for both. You got South Venice that has no HOA. There's an optional one if you want to get access to a private ferry that takes you to a private beach, but you don't have to pay for that, and there's no restrictions or anything like that. There's Venice Gardens, which is really on the lighter side of that as well. Pretty much no HOA, but super light restrictions. And then there's a ton of communities that do have HOAs and are going to, have a certain theme, a certain style of home, maybe even certain kinds of bushes you have to have, and everything's going to look very uniform depending on the HOA. There's lighter versions of that as well that are a little less restrictive.
Yes, and typically the more you pay for an HOA, the more restrictive they're going to be. The less you pay for an HOA, the less restrictive.
And the more you'll get, the more you pay, usually, as far as amenities. So it's not like you're just paying for just to have it look,
yes. Or for someone to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Whether you want to be an HOA or non-HOA communities, we have a lot in the area as well. So Englewood, there is a lot of communities there that don't have, or neighborhoods that don't have HOAs, but there are some sprinkled here and there. Northport, same thing. In Northport, if you don't want to be in an HOA, you do get bigger lots and more space between houses as well. And I'm gonna say that at least 85% of Northport is not on an HOA community. So if you're looking to move and not have an HOA community, Northport would give you a lot more options. And that doesn't include Welland Park. Welland Park is in between Northport and Venice and a little bit of Englewood. And that's a big master plan community. So if you don't want to be in an HOA, then Welland Park, you shouldn't be looking in Welland Park.
And I'm gonna say it because I know we're gonna get a comment. Welland Park, yes, we know, is Northport as far as utilities and things like that. So we always have to say that in the video or someone's gonna leave a comment.
But as far as the postal service goes, it's Venice.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of both.
And then Nokomis, it's a little bit more of, I say, a split proposition as far as HOA versus non-HOA. There's a lot of non-HOA types of, little neighborhoods and things like that throughout the area. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's as designated as say South Venice. It's not like just this area is non-HOA, but there are definitely plenty of pockets. They're just not really named like South Venice is. And then there's also a lot of HOA communities in the area as well. So, something for everyone. And that sits a little bit north of Venice, so it would put you a little closer to Sarasota. And then also worth mentioning, kind of even more north of that, so you got Venice, then you've got Laurel and Nokomis, and then somehow north of that is North Venice, which is kind of weird. Yeah. But that puts you even closer to Sarasota, and that is a lot of HOA communities, kind of like Welland Park, just a little bit less master planned.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Venice, Sarasota areas, make sure to call, text, or email our team, 941-221-1897.
Get a hold of us anytime, whether you're looking to move in the next few days or the next few months. We'll always have your back. We hear from people all the time, and we love it.
If you want to learn more about Venice, check out this playlist right here. Subscribe, turn all notifications on, and
live breezy.